military has more than proved itself very capable. Ukrainian troops have been trained on NATO standard equipment. We just sent 9 mechanized brigades, Ukrainian brigades, back to Ukraine for this counteroffensive. And they've shown that they've learned how to do the type of combined arms maneuvers that the United States military practices. But politically, is the far bigger issue. How can you lay out the practical pathway for Ukraine to actually get into NATO?
I think I have to start by admitting that on that issue there are different views in the alliance, and of course the only way to make decisions in NATO is by consensus. There are consultations going on now. I will have some phone calls later on today also on the way forward, the path forward, and how to address the Ukrainians' ambitions for NATO membership. No one is able to tell you exactly what will be the final decision at the Vilnius summit on this issue. But we are an alliance of now 31 allies, and of course the only way to make decisions is to have discussions, to consult, and then at the end of the day we always end at the joint position or some kind of consensus. But having said that, I would like to also highlight the following. We also agree on a lot when it comes to Ukraine and membership. We all agree that Ukraine will become a member of the alliance. That was actually stated very clearly at the Madrid summit last year, and has been repeated many times since we made the first decision back in 2008. We all agree that NATO's door is open for new members, and that it is for the NATO allies and Ukraine to decide when they should join, not Moscow. They don't have a veto. And then we also agree that the most urgent and important task now is to ensure that Ukraine prevails as a sovereign independent nation. Because if Ukraine doesn't prevail, then there's no membership issue to discuss.
Do you think this war makes it easier for Ukraine to get into NATO than before February 24th?
Well, yes and no. I think that everyone realized that to become a member in the midst of the war is not on the agenda, and that's not the issue. The issue is more what happens when the war ends, in one way or another. And then of course the war ensures that Ukraine is becoming even closer to NATO. You mentioned all this, the things we are doing together with them. When we start pilot training, of course, then they will be more interoperable, closer to NATO. When they use now more and more NATO equipment and so on, they are coming closer to NATO when it comes to how to operate different NATO systems. So one of the things I actually believe, and I hope, and I think that we will agree in Vilnius, is a multi-year program by NATO and NATO allies to help Ukraine to transition from Soviet era doctrines, equipment.
Seguimos pendientes de las declaraciones de Stoltenberg, que entre otras cosas está diciendo pues que tienen que ir tomando decisiones, que quieren tomar estas decisiones de forma conjunta, y sobre todo apunta que todos están de acuerdo en que Ucrania tiene que ser un miembro de la OTAN.
We will then be more ambitious and more concrete on what we're going to do to not only gradually move them towards NATO standards, because if you look at what they have, it's a lot of old Soviet era stuff, both equipment but also doctrines and way of organizing their armed forces. Now they actually live in two worlds. They have a lot of old stuff, and then they have a lot of Soviet stuff, and then they have a lot of NATO stuff, and then a lot of different NATO stuff. So to make this more coherent is extremely important, and the aim is to make them fully interoperable with NATO forces, regardless of when membership will happen. This is good. It will make them more able to protect themselves or to defend, and of course us more able to work with them. The more they are the same standards, doctrines, and procedures.
This is the point where I'm supposed to open it up for questions, but I have a couple more before I do that, since we only have 10 minutes left. I want to ask you about Donald Trump. You are the consummate